Doc Ellis. Before we start, I want to thank Kenneth Edwards, Arizona. This mug, I just got it. Inspired by Doc Ellis Q&A YouTube video on June 21st, 2023. Thank you, Kenneth. Now, these are secret codes here, folks. This pound 1 AH and the exclamation point. This AH is my wife's name for me. She said, you're getting paid to be an asshole. And now I'm teaching it. So, we're going to talk about asshole stuff. Okay, now. We're talking about federal workers' comp and VA disability and anything else you want to talk about. Federal workers' comp, VA disability are fair. Yeah, right. Why the problems? Why do people come from all over the United States and both sides of the oceans to see some hick doctor? Okay. First of all, the big thing, and you need to understand this so your feelings aren't hurt. There's a bias against anybody who files a claim. Allstate ran an ad for extra months. We fight fake car wreck claims to keep your car insurance premiums down by Allstate. I think at that time there were 4 billion people in the world, and I'm the one person who understood that ad. That ad says, if you file against Allstate, we're going to fight you. Should have put them out of business. Should have been on Letterman, Leno, Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Hey, dumbass, buy our insurance. We're going to fight you. Okay? Okay, so there's a bias. When you file federal workers' comp and you file VA disability, it's like being a black man in a KKK meeting. You're going to get screwed, okay? Okay, why? No training. Federal employees are not trained. They have the bias, they have no training, okay? But the biggest problem is the white coat, this thing I'm wearing. So I'll take it off, if I can get it off. Okay, 50% of litigation. So we're going to take this white coat and we're going to throw it behind us. 50% of litigation, like car wrecks and workers' comp and Social Security and AFLAC, and requires a doctor's report. And all we learn in medical school about legal medicine is that lawyers don't go to heaven, which is still true. It's the beginning of my courses. And so what happens is, without this training, doctors mess things up. This is a state workers' comp case. Employee, company truck, rolls a truck, broken neck, the neurosurgeon fuses the neck, and the insurance company sends a letter. Is this work related? Because a white coat has to tell you if it's federal workers' comp or VA disability. Judges don't get to do that. Investigators don't get to. You need a white coat. And the white coat, the neurosurgeon said, I didn't see the truck roll. And so it has to go to court, and the judge has to say the obvious. Okay, that's the problem. All right? Now, I've seen doctors, I've seen clinics, hospitals, lawyers, and they all say, I did one, I'll never do another one. Let me explain something, folks. Federal workers' comp, 1916 law, is ridiculously fair. You cannot lose if you don't quit. VA, ridiculously fair. You cannot lose, just don't quit. If the slightest work factor as a federal employee or service factor as a veteran contributes to something, it's covered. If it aggravates something, it's covered. Let's say you're a vet, you have rheumatic fever, and you have a heart murmur, and they don't pick it up on the physical. They eat it. The rheumatic fever is covered. Let's say you're in the service 20 years, and during that time you get hypertension. It's covered. It happened during the service, not caused, just happened. But if it's just aggravated, it's covered. The trouble is you need a white coat. I had a federal employee out of Ohio. This is VA talking right now. Okay, we're talking about VA stuff, but it applies to federal. Veterans should get their own doctor's Nexus or causation report. You don't go to the VA and hope those people, the doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, are trained. They have a bias, they're not trained, and because nobody is. Nobody in white coat's trained. You get your own Nexus report, and then you go through the VA. Also, the medical records in the service are not going to meet the VA criteria. Okay, so anyway, came all the way from Ohio for his Nexus report done by my PA. She does a better job than I do. Okay, so anyway, so you need basically Ellis. There's just a handful of us in the United States that know how to do this stuff, and you need somebody with balls that doesn't quit. We always win because the law is set up that way. Now, once you get away from a stupid rater in VA or a stupid claims examiner, because I'm only seeing the ones that are the end of the bell curve. The people that had bad claims examiners and raters. Most of these people are in the government do a good job. But anyway, then you get to another level, like in federal workers' comp, you get to you get to an oral hearing. They're always intelligent people. It's the issue, and it's settled in minutes. If you go to the Employee Compensation Appeal Board, this is federal workers' comp. The judges are. It's no politics. This is the law. It's pro-employee. You win. Same way in VA. The judges at the Board of Veterans Appeals are lawyers. They know the law. You're going to win. Okay, and don't accept 10% for a knee. I got 10%. No, you got screwed out of 30. VA, for instance, now, you can see my pretty knees today. It's July 7th, and here's my pretty little leg. Okay, so you have a ligament that's loose, a strain. I can rate it as slight, moderate, severe, 10, 20, 30. Wow, you have 4 ligaments at 30 each. Total knee, that's a lot. So most people, if you have a meniscus, that's 10, but if you have that, you're going to have instability. And you may have decreased range of motion. You put all that together, and it doesn't matter whether it's VA or federal. You just need to have someone that knows what to do and doesn't give up. So that's enough preaching. Let's go to some questions. And you can just write in. Okay. Getting Nexus for you. What must the company Nexus? What form? You just go to ellisclinic.com. Go VA appointment. Send some stuff in. And if we need more after you get here, we'll get it. Don't worry about it. Here's another one, YouTube question. I had PFA exposures, microcytic anemia, MDS. Okay, Marine Corps, Quantico. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, you're going to have that. That's going to be covered. All right. There's a lot of case law and there's a lot of medical law that we'll throw together in the report, plus my medical opinion, and because it's reasonable medical certainty, reasonable medical probability, and VA more likely than not. Now, what does that mean in English? I started doing legal medicine 50 years ago. A lawyer asked, would you see a state workers' comp and rate them for the percentage of a loss of ability to do ordinary manual labor? What? That's how law talks to doctors. They don't understand. In the Air Force, the doctors that are taking occupational medicine, now they're board certified flight surgeons, they're majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels. If they're taking an occupational medicine residency, they come spend 1 day with me because they all write down the best thing I did in a 3-year residency. Well, I'm a good teacher. No one's that good. Okay, now, I say, okay, now here you are. Doctor, you got the white coat on. You're an expert. It's based on your education, training, experience. It's not criminal law beyond a reasonable shadow of doubt. It's law that you've never been taught. So a person goes on a mission trip. It's endemic for hepatitis A. There's a lot of hepatitis A in that area. They don't have a hepatitis A shot. And then 21 days later, doctor, they've got yellow eyes. That's all the information you get. What's your thought? Not a diagnosis, not an opinion. With that information, well, they got hepatitis A. That's reasonable medical certainty. Oh, I've been screwing people for 20 years. Yes, you have. You've made a mess of the system, okay? Because they're not taught medical school. They don't even teach occupational medicine in medical school, much less legal medicine. I'll digress a minute. I sent my CEO to this company. This company, Cardone, is a boot camp. They've taken 2,500 companies to 10 times their worth, and a lot of them are clinics and hospitals and stuff. They've never heard the term legal medicine. That's what we do. We do legal medicine. Okay, so anyway. So then back to the person, hepatitis, got yellow eyes. And then doctor, we get a CAT scan. He's got a gallstones in his here down in his liver. That could back up bile in your eyes and give you jaundice, make yellow eyes. What's your thought? Well, he's got gallstone. Yay. Reasonable medical certainty. The lab test comes back. He also has hepatitis A and gallstone at the same time. At all 3 points, that's reasonable medical certainty. Oh, I've been screwing people. Stop it. And if you don't know how to do that, refer to somebody who does. I'm licensed in the state of Oklahoma to do brain surgery. If I did it, it'd be malpractice. I'm not trained. So don't do occupational medicine or VA, fill out federal forms, because we're talking about big stuff, important stuff. Now, in medicine, it's not a big deal. Let's say surgeries, surgeon does a surgery, dictates the surgery report 30 days later, okay, and says left shoulder instead of the right shoulder. That's a typo. No big deal, unless someone used that to do another procedure. No, nothing happens. People are paid. Nobody loses their job. No one goes to jail. No one loses their money. But if you do that in federal workers' comp and VA, you're costing people money, and they could go to jail. Some fool's going to think, well, because he has that bias, going, well, let's go after somebody. So you got to be squeaky clean. Your clinic needs to know how to do this, and if they don't do it. Okay, all right. So okay, here's one paranoid guy. You're not paranoid guy. They really are out to get you. You see our map with all those pins. The best psychological treatment I've ever done. Oh, I'm not paranoid. They really are out to get me. Okay. I'm more likely than not. That's VA world. 10 more described disability items. The VA's agreed with doctors that I actually have, but it's more likely than not I'll leave it alone because already tried to murder me once and already falsified several tests against me illegally. I don't know if they murdered me, but wouldn't surprise me. The shit I've seen wouldn't surprise me. Okay, but what I would recommend, you got 10, do 1 or 2 at a time instead of all 10 at once. Come on in, we'll write a report, and you get 10%. It's $143 a month. Come on. Okay, here's one from this is a VA. Just awarded 50% for depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. 10% for tinnitus, that's ringing in the ears. Denied obstructive sleep apnea. Okay. I saw a veteran service officer YouTube. I'm not knocking the officer because they're well trained and it's free. Don't go for tinnitus, it's just 10%. If you get tinnitus, and most people in the service, just from basic, are going to have ringing in their ears. Aborigines in the middle of Australia, old men don't get hearing loss. Pygmies in Africa, old men don't get hearing loss. Just trucks, just noise, just industrial society, mowing lawns, and so if it contributes a little bit in the service, you got the tinnitus covered. Also, if you're after the service, you're a veteran, and then you go work for the government, and you have noise anytime it's louder, so loud you have to raise your voice. Need earplugs, it'll hurt your ears. Okay, but at tinnitus, we've got case law and medical law showing that tinnitus contributes to sleep apnea. So you get tinnitus, and then 30 years later you get sleep apnea, we'll write a report. We can do this probably with telehealth, unless they make us see you. And that's 50%. But most importantly, everybody, if you get tinnitus under VA, and most people never heard of this, and even federal, we can show that contributes to hardening the arteries, hypertension, strokes, and heart attacks, and the widow gets a pension. So Marines and airborne that don't file, or you get turned down, you quit. No, you're filing for your family. And I understand the reluctance to file. I've been doing these things for 3 years. Finally looked at my last audiogram as a flight surgeon. I'm 20% impaired in my hearing. So I filed for that and give my wife that money. She's the one that has to put up with it. Okay, I'm going to digress again. I'm in a barbershop about 6 months ago, a bunch of old guys like me. And some guys mouthing off about veterans filing for disability. God damn it. I said, have you a medical degree? Have you examined these people? No, I said, well, I do, and I examine these people. I'm the ones that get the disability. And sir, you're full of shit. And you need to keep your mouth shut if you don't know. These people that were in the service could have been on food stamps. The law is very clear. They're supposed to take care of them. And you're mouthing off stuff you don't know. You want to go outside and discuss this. Fortunately, these two old men did get in a fight. But that just ticks me off. Okay. All right. So sleep apnea will get you covered. He's got a CPAP machine. It's no-brainer. Do it by telemedicine. So get a Nexus report. We'll do it. Okay. Disability retirement, FERS. FERS under federal workers' comp is you can't do the job for which you're hired. It's not Social Security, which no sustained gainful employment, which is a higher hurdle. And we do Social Security exams, by the way. But You don't need them unless you need a summary. Social Security likes to just take the records you have and let them speak for themselves. If not, you need to have a doctor say the magic words for Social Security and maybe appear in an oral hearing for you. All right. I've also been to federal criminal court on Social Security. I've been to court 1,587 times, including federal criminal court for Social Security, veterans, federal employees, etc. My testimony has never lost a case. Enough said. Now, but better yet, my staff knows more than I do now. So so if I keel over, you're still covered. So you file for FERS, you go to ellisclinic.com, FERS appointment, and we try that telehealth. And if they say no, then you come in and we'll do it. But all these things are administrative law. You don't go through that by yourself. You don't go through that stuff without somebody that knows what they're doing. Okay? You don't do your own appendectomy. Although I did have a doctor friend who did his own vasectomy. I'm impressed that he could bend that far. Whoa! No, you probably need to hear that. Any other questions? Are we through for today?
There's a couple questions on YouTube. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets, they say, in service. 7 ankle sprains, including casts due to non-responsive to treatment. Now diagnosed with insertional Achilles tendinopathy and posterior tibial tendonitis. Are these related to the sprains?
Yeah, no brainer. But also your knee and your hip and your back. Okay, for you're 16 years old, you're on the beach, and you got one flip flop, and you take a step or two, and that you go put the other one on. So if a chiropractor can, it's heaven. That's why people go to chiropractors. If you get that thing aligned, so if you have that in federal or VA, it's going to be a consequential injury. Now, state workers' comp, probably not worth the trouble, okay, because it's a higher criteria. But VA and federal, the laws are very fair. Just no one knows it, and they have the bias. They don't want to know it, and lawyers don't know it, and you just okay. So, sure.
And then Mr. B said TBI claim increase. Can the VA use ACE?
What's ACE?
Wish I knew.
I wish I knew. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you about traumatic brain injury. You really can't diagnose it except by clinical exam. Now they have neuropsych tests and stuff like that help document, but it's subtle changes. All right. Suddenly you're having to write notes to yourself. You're forgetting things. You don't catch the joke as quick. You're a little depressed. You don't want to go out as much. And there's no such thing as a minor head injury. Period. Okay. So I had a walking wounded head injury clinic years ago before they even had those. Been very interested in traumatic brain injuries. All right, so a file for, and traumatic brain injury, a lot of times in VA, they'll add depression to it. No, a brain injury is a different whole other condition than depression and anxiety.
ACE is affiliated covered entity.
Well, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, but the traumatic brain injury is covered. So you've had, IED blew off, fell off the truck, you're boxing, you're playing football. Yeah. There's no such thing as a minor head injury. And so you rate it. And the way you rate it in VA is 10, 30, 50, 70. And the best way to rate it scientifically is I turned to the wife and I said, "What do you think?" And that's the best answer because she's with him. Love to have spouses. Wives don't, because guys forget. This is years ago. This state workers' comp, an old roughneck. I'm seen for a back. I said, "Ever had any back problems?" "I don't think so, Doc." And I pulled the shirt up. "Well, you've had 2 scars from 2 back surgeries." He's not faking. He just forgot. He's a guy. Okay. You got another one? We're through. Call us. What we're doing now, we get a few questions. We'll do a YouTube real quick, and then we'll email you if you send the email in when you call us, and you'll have your personal YouTube answer. And we'll just, if I can get over my shyness, we'll take care of it. So vets, file for your spouses, and you can imagine doing a VA. Don't cry, don't do it. Helping a veteran's spouse get a pension. Is that not fun stuff? Now, if you charge, now I charge for it because I gift off the charge. If you ever charge your bed to light it come through the ceiling. So bless you all. You are my beloved. This is home. We're going to take care of you. We love you. Okay? All right. And thank you for the America and the 4th of July weekend. And I'm still, even though there's all this screw up and stuff, we don't want to be in any other country. We will win this because our laws are fair. We just need to get somebody to listen to us. And we never quit. But I'm not the only asshole here. We're all assholes, but we're your asshole.